Childcare generally isn't actually as available as it ought to be, and that financial cost isn't properly made up with the money that we make available. So I think that's another area that we need to look at, and indeed we are looking at as we develop policy. There are a number of issues in this policy area that were in the Breakthrough Britain report that Ian Duncan Smith put together, and we are looking at those.
There are a number of benefits that both disabled people and parents of disabled children can claim. If each one of those benefits requires a separate application process, and separate form and separate questions. And if a disabled person was to apply for the 10 benefits to which they might well be entitled, they would have to answer 1,351 questions on 412 pages of forms. And of those questions, only a fifth of them, less than a fifth of them, are unique. The government processes 7.2 billion answers to those questions from disabled claimants every year, and 6 billion of those questions are repeated information. And it really shouldn't be the case that parents of disabled children or disabled people themselves should feel that they're having to battle and fight the system all the time. It ought to be the case that they can identify themselves, raise their concerns, and there ought to be people actually coming in to actually help them rather than feeling it's a battle. And I was particularly struck what Makita said about benefits in the way she had to downplay the abilities of her children and really talk about them in the most negative way in order to...
About the individuality of the need for services. So not a one-size-fits-all service, but lots of individuality. And there are some things which the government have introduced, to be fair, like direct payments and actually putting some of the power and control into the hands of disabled people and parents of disabled children. But in many cases, those aren't being rolled out far and fast enough. And I think one of the things we need to do from the centre is to try and encourage that and push that as far as we can, to give people control over the sorts of services they want and put the control into their hands. And the evidence is that if you give them that control, as Christine said, they don't ask for the world, they actually have very modest requests, and often they spend that money much more efficiently and effectively than the local authority.